Hello, welcome back here. I know it's been a few weeks. Sorry I got off of this project for probably 3 weeks now. I've been busy with other jobs in the shop and other things. Computer died on me in the last few weeks, which I've been struggling with it for a while. So this is a brand new computer here, and I think it's going to be a pretty high performance computer. And hopefully, once I get all my software kind of transferred over here, we'll be back in business. So let me just catch up. I've had a few guys contact me wanting me to cut some things for them, and I'm not 100% sure about all of this myself because I haven't even finished uh, cutting and threading and all the things I was trying to do on mine. So let me show you. I know I'm on a weird screen here. Let's go back and look at. Here's what I did today. So if you can see this page, I don't know if you can. This is one of the sheets you get when you buy the drawing that kind of shows how the DXF files are laid out, the vector files that you cut with CNC plasma or laser or water jet, whatever form of cutting that you would do. I'm using a plasma table, as you know. So what I've figured out about this is these plans here are not about every one of these parts. I think he's going to have some later video. He has some video, but some later plans for sale on the adjustable table, the wheel. There's another wheel attachment, small wheel attachment or something. So some of these parts, the best I can tell, don't apply to this build. Now, there may be enough information in videos he has and things that you can figure out what to do. I haven't got that far. But as far as guys, a couple different people have asked me if I could cut this for them. I probably can, but let me kind of work through what I've figured out. And I had to backtrack this morning a little bit and kind of figure out where I left off and what I had figured out. So let me show you. This is how I laid these out on the screen. So somebody had asked me, oh, how much 3H does it take to do it? Well, for one thing, some of these things don't apply like I just said. So let me show you that over here on, I think it's on this page. Let's look at this. Okay, I kind of edited this. This is the page I just held up and was showing you. So I kind of scratched out, if you're looking the green over here, that says contact wheel attachment. So that's a whole different build that has nothing to do with the grinder build itself. So I've kind of, if you need me to cut those, I understand, and I've already cut those for myself, but I didn't understand all this until I got, and this he didn't have in here, but if you'll notice, there's a gray and a white that are pretty close in color, but the white is the fixed table, which is what we are building. The yellow here where I put a question mark is the adjustable angle table, which we don't have plans for here. But all of the yellow pieces here, which yes, I cut out for myself, but those are not things you need for this particular build. So I would suggest, if you want me to cut this stuff, is we probably would omit those parts for now. And if you need them later, that's fine. I mean, we can cut those and stick them in a package. It won't cost much, in material or shipping cost. But I'm not looking to cut this for people. Don't misunderstand this. I'm just trying to help the two guys that asked me if I could help them. Okay, that's all I'm doing here. I'm not trying to make money off of people or anything like that. I do this stuff as a favor to guys in this group. I'm going to have to charge enough to cover my expenses, and my time a little bit. But don't misunderstand that I'm out here trying to look for money, and I'm not trying to money grab. And if you think I am, I think I priced these around $200 for a couple guys on the material that I had in stock. Now, if I have to buy it, material is really expensive now. And if you don't believe it, go to a local fab shop somewhere and ask them what they would charge you to cut this stuff, and you'll be blown away. I bet it'll be over $500 easily. So don't be, I just want to get that out of the way. Don't think that I'm trying to make money off of guys. I'm not. In fact, I got plenty of my own stuff to do. I just like to help people if I can. So anyway, here's the motor attachments, and what I was going to show you, the best I remember, the 56H frame style is what the motor that he calls out in the plans right here. If you use the motor he talks about in the plans, and I even pulled that up in Amazon, which is where I bought mine. If you see that says 56H, now this is not the picture of the motor. You know how Amazon will throw something in there. Actually, this one down here is the actual motor, and the reason I know that is because I looked at my motor, and it looks like that, and also this frame up here, you can barely see it, but it doesn't, they don't even have the part number up there of that motor. But anyway, this is the important part, 56H frame. All right, now let's get back into where we were. So see, that's where it says that. Now, so we don't need that one, and we don't need that one. This is the one we need. Now, if you did have a different motor that had these other types, then you would. Also, if you cut these out by hand, it don't have that part sticking out. So don't, if you get in the plans, you'll notice these vector parts are different from the PDF parts a little bit. And like some of these radiuses are not in there. They're more of just a 45 cut off of them and stuff like that, which would be fine, I'm sure. But so anyway, I'm just showing you what I edited out. So he's got 3/8 parts over here, and that's right. And the next row is 1/8 parts, which really there's no such thing as 1/8. It's either 10 gauge or 11 gauge. 10 gauge is 135 thousandths thick, roughly. Remember, 1/8 is 125 thousandths. And so you can get either 10 gauge or 11 gauge. I usually like to use 10 gauge. 11 gauge is 120 thousandths thick, so between 10 and 11 gauge, they're only 15 thousandths difference in thickness. So, but anyway, I get that out of the way. So that row is going to be approximately 1/8 thick parts. This last row, like I scratched on here, is 3/16 parts. And remember, the yellow stuff we don't need because that has to do with the adjustable angle table, and that's not part of this, the PDF plans in here. If you can go through all of them, if you own them, nothing in there has to do with the adjustable table. The parts are not even in the listing here. If you'll notice, none of those parts are even in this. This is not plans for the adjustable table or that other fixture that he talks about in this. See, this says for small wheel attachment is the blue items, so we don't need those either. For this build, you don't need the blue, the green, or the yellow. So only the red is the things we're building now. So that's why I scratched some of this off. I should have scratched off the blue. There's only a few of those, but I'm not good at doing this, but I think you just click that, and so we'll just go ahead and, it's gonna be hard to see that, but let's just X through that and X through this. So we don't need those parts. So now I can go over here to where I was. Oh, I got two different copies of that up here, don't I? I'll get rid of one of them. Okay. Just save that. Hopefully that did that. All right, let's go back to, we don't need this anymore. I've already discussed that with you. So, and the same thing here, we don't need that. All right, let's go in here and I'll show you what I've kind of done. But somebody said, well, how much material does that cost? And I could send you material or do something like that. Well, I looked at my metal supplier catalog the other night, and they're usually not open when I'm home from work. So if I do anything like that, I'll have to drive an hour away, and I have to be there before noon on Saturdays to buy things. But so I was laying this out. Remember, we don't need Let me just remove the ones we don't need. I wanted to do this in front of you so you'll see. I turned these around where they're laying flat so we can see them. So we don't need that one. And we don't need this one. Okay. We just discussed that. Remember, this is the 56H. And I would have to see on the other one. I can lay this page sideways and see where we're at here without going back and forth on the screen. Maybe. So, I mean, I hate to do all this on screen. I'm just telling you that I'm going to have to look at the other screen because I can't. This one's not in color, so I can't tell. But I really wish I could just print that in color and see if it'll work. But the thing is, I haven't set this printer up on this new computer, so I can't print anything yet. Okay. But anyway, if I lay this down the way that one was, I know those 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces on that end I don't need right now. So let's get rid of these 4 pieces. That vector's not even attached, is it? Let's see. Some of people's drawings, when you get them, they're from CAD and they don't always have the vectors attached, which I like to join them before I cut them sometimes. But okay, let's get rid of that. And also, if you'll notice, I'm just showing you this so you'll, if you're going through the same thing I am, that you can kind of see what it takes to go through and figure some of this out. So this part here I know also is part of, well, let's just go back and look. Yeah, that yellow, we don't need the yellow, so we need to get rid of these 2 and that one. So we don't need this one. And that vector's not attached. You gotta be careful about that. You end up with something on the screen. I'm not going to use this to cut with anyway necessarily, but okay, we don't need that one, and we didn't need these 2, I believe. Before I do that, let's go back and make sure. Yeah, we don't need any of the yellows, so we don't need those either. And we don't need that one. See, that says adjustable table. So let's go back and get rid of those 2 and those 2 and that one. I already forgot which ones they were. I think they were these 2. I'm not going to do that yet. So it was this one, I think. Let's delete those. I think all of these were okay. Let's look at them. I hate to waste your time showing this, but those 2 are the 3/16 rectangle parts that we don't need. So here we go. There's the 3/16. Okay, these 2 right here. Let's delete those off of here. I think that's about all. We do need all of this stuff, so we could move this. I was just laying this out so that I can see about how much material we need. We can rotate that one. Get this in case you can't see what I'm doing. Let's rotate that one 90 degrees so it lays in there a little better. Now, let's just move all this over. And what I can show you is about how much material this is going to take if we was to just lay it all out. Now what I found out, like I was about to tell you earlier, is you can buy 3/8 plate, it looks like, in flat bar. You know, stuff like, I don't know how many it's at, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 inch, stuff like that. So a lot of places will sell you, instead of a 20-foot bar, maybe 10-foot bars and stuff like that. So of course we don't need that much, but they also sell like a 2x2 or a 4x4. You know, you don't always have to buy a full 4x8 or 5x10 sheet or something like that. So, but just to roughly see on 3/8 parts here, about, see, all of this here is 3/8, but let's just lay all of this in a row. And I know this is not organized just real great, but it's close enough to see kind of what we're trying to do here. Let's move this one in line. Again, I'm not trying to be real close, but see that only takes up 6.5 inches. So I was going to get a piece of 8-inch, and then the length of that comes out over here is, that may be a piece we don't need, I forgot, but either way, see that's 78 inches, so 7 or 8 feet of that stuff would be plenty. And a lot of the things you could even put on a 2-inch bar, but I'm just saying if you bought a piece of 8-inch by 10-foot plate, flat bar type plate, that would be plenty. So what I was going to do is try to call my steel supplier and ask him what it would cost for a 10-foot, and that's what we'll do to price out what amount of 3/8 material is that going to take. Now I've got plenty of 3/16 drops and things and some 10 gauge that I can use to cut these little stuff. That's not a big problem there at all. And let's just move this down here. But even if you wanted to know, it's simple to, on this CAD program, to just draw a rectangle. See, I could just do something like this. I usually don't draw them this way, but let's just make one a little bit bigger than we need, and then I'll just move it around it just so we can see. Now let's measure what size that is. So that's saying that is a 25 by 1.25 inches. So a piece of 2-inch, by 2 foot long is more than enough for 3/16. And again, in the PDF drawings, he tells you how to make these, and these he just puts a 45. Some of the pieces may not be in the PDF. I think they are on this regular build, but on these you don't have to have this radius. He just comes up and makes a 45 on these kind of parts. And these have to do with going underneath the table or supporting or something like that. I forgot right now. And same way with these. So anyway, that's kind of how I laid it out for you. If you want to refer to this, I'm only doing this to try to help me and you figure out what parts. And what I do is when I cut these, I go back through the PDF drawing, and let's just go to it right quick, and I kind of mark them with a marker on each piece I cut. I go find out what it was. And like I've said in earlier videos, I don't cut holes that need to be tapped with the plasma torch, because that'll just harden that and you'll never get them tapped and drilled. So I don't know how to get away from this. Okay, I had my little pencil on there. Yeah, I don't remember if I took that one off the drawing earlier. No, I didn't, but see, that's for the small wheel attachment, so let's get that one out of here. We don't need that one in here either. So I'd like to save this stuff before I forget. I like to save XBG files, and let's go name this something like basic plan vectors. We'll just name it that so I'll know what that is. I'm going to save that there. Okay, so remember, this is all 3/8. That's 3/16, and we don't need that rectangle. I mean, I won't. If I was to cut that, it would be holes instead of parts. So anyway, so that's how that works out. I forgot what I was going to go back and look at. Oh, to name which each part is. I name them with I put up a Sharpie mark, paint marker, something on them so I can lay them all out and know what they are. So you can either look at this thing, which kind of gives you a hint of what they go to. Here's the table holder in the red. The black stuff is the plate and attachment. which I don't see the other part of the plating. I think it's these red ones. But anyway, you can figure all that out as you. So if you go into the plans, you'll see, like right here, I just started going out down the list. If you'll notice on my sheet, I don't know how well you can see this. I just put an X on them as I cut them and stacked them and stuff. I just put an X on there to know that I'd already cut. Like this one's the fixed table. This one's the motor mounting plate. And if you'll notice, like I said earlier, the vector shows that deal sticking out on this one. In his deal here, he shows making another deal here that you weld onto it. But anyway, these numbers right here are the part numbers, this F01. So I named them all, and then that way I knew exactly where I was with cutting all these out. And then I also wrote on the ones that I need to tap and drill. There's only 3 holes, I think, that you have to tap. So anyway, if you go through all this, you'll notice that none of the stuff to do with the adjustable table or that other fixture that's in the other vector files is not in this. So anyway, I hope that clears it up, and I know this is a lot longer video than it should have been. I just wanted to get back with you on that, and hopefully the 2 guys that are kind of waiting on me to maybe cut some things for them can kind of understand and help make a decision now about what they want. And these parts are not very big. They ship pretty easy in a flat rate box. I think the shipping, it looks like it's 25 bucks or less to ship these. So you know, I had talked, depending on what the material is going to cost, it'd take me probably all day to make these parts for you and deburr them and stuff. So you know, it might not take all that long. I'm thinking if you give me $100 for cutting them and plus materials, you're probably going to be at 250 bucks, probably, maybe a little more. It just depends on how much that material costs. So I have a little bit of material that I told the first guy. Can't think of his name right now. Sorry. But I'll try to email these guys and tell them to look at this video. This is really for the guys that we were talking about on this stuff, and I'm going to get back out in the shop and kind of carry on where we were on this build. So if you're just more or less looking at the build itself, skip this video, and I'll try to get to the next video as soon as I can. But anyway, I appreciate you watching this. See you next time.